The war Australia lost against birds, the Great Emu War. In 1932, Australia sent soldiers, machine guns, and trucks into battle against giant, flightless birds. But here's the shocking part: the birds won. This is the unbelievable true story of the war humans fought and lost to emus. Australia, 1932. The country is in crisis. The Great Depression has hit hard, farmers are struggling, and Western Australia faces a new enemy, one that no one saw coming. Every year after the harvest, thousands of emus, giant 6-foot-tall flightless birds, migrate from the inland to the coast. Normally, this is just part of nature, but in 1932, something was different. The emus invaded farmlands. They trampled crops, smashed fences, and devoured wheat fields meant to feed struggling families. For desperate farmers, it felt like an invasion, and so they demanded help from the government. Help came in the form of soldiers armed with machine guns. The government dispatched Major G.P.W. Meredith and his men. Their mission? Destroy the emus. Simple, right? After all, these were trained soldiers, veterans of the First World War. Against birds, what could possibly go wrong? But the emus were not ordinary opponents. They were fast, they were smart, and they were about to embarrass the Australian army. The war began with a disaster. In November 1932, the soldiers spotted a large group, about 50 emus. They set up their Louis machine gun, waited for the birds to get close, and opened fire. But the birds scattered instantly. Only a handful were killed. The rest vanished into the scrub, moving in unpredictable directions, too fast for the heavy gun to track. The soldiers realized something shocking. It was nearly impossible to shoot an emu on the move. These birds could sprint up to 50 kilometers per hour, zigzagging like trained guerrilla fighters. One soldier even remarked they seemed to have a sixth sense for dodging bullets. Days later, the army tried again, this time against a mob of 1,000 emus. Finally, they thought, a chance for victory. But when the machine gun jammed after only a few shots, the birds simply scattered once again. The soldiers gave chase in trucks mounted with guns, but the rough terrain made aiming impossible. The emus always outran the trucks, darting into the bush where no vehicle could follow. Imagine the scene. Highly trained men, sweating, exhausted, riding after birds that simply ran away. The press had a field day. Newspapers mocked the military, calling the operation a disaster. Headlines joked that the emus were winning. What would you have done? Double down against the birds or admit defeat? Major Meredith noticed something uncanny. The emus seemed to fight like organized troops. Flocks moved with precision, one leader bird standing tall, directing the group while the others followed. Whenever the soldiers attacked, the emus split into small squads, making them nearly impossible to wipe out. Meredith himself later admitted, if we had a military division with the bullet-carrying capacity of these birds, it would face any army in the world. Yes, the commander of Australian troops praised the enemy: birds. After weeks of frustration, the numbers spoke for themselves. Soldiers had fired thousands of rounds. They had killed maybe a few hundred emus at best, but tens of thousands still roamed free, destroying crops daily. Meanwhile, the farmers grew angry. They had asked for protection. Instead, the military had become a laughingstock. The press called it a farce. Politicians scrambled to save face. Finally, the government pulled the plug. The army withdrew. Officially, the emus had won. The Great Emu War was over by December 1932. The humans were humiliated. The birds kept on running wild, munching wheat fields and outsmarting everyone. Eventually, the government turned to a different solution: bounty systems. Farmers were given ammunition and paid for each emu killed. This approach proved far more effective than military campaigns. But the damage was done. The world had heard the story. Australia had gone to war with birds and lost. To this day, the Great Emu War remains one of history's strangest and most embarrassing military defeats. It makes you wonder, when nature pushes back, who's really in charge? The Great Emu War wasn't just about birds. It was about human pride and nature's resilience. The soldiers came with guns, the birds came with speed, and in the end, nature claimed victory. So here's my question for you. If you were Major Meredith facing thousands of birds that just won't die, what would you have done differently?